Good morning, everyone. BIP Bizarre Interest Productions and Grand Season of The Bachelorette had just finished wrapping up. And we have found out there's not going to be another season of The Bachelorette this year. A lot of people are a bit surprised by this, especially since that they announced that it's going to be Bachelor in Paradise, but with members of the Golden Bachelor, so it looks like we're going to have a hybrid of both. So why is Bachelorette getting the X? Which is crazy because ABC stopped production of the cycle since 2007, was something a lot of people didn't expect for, especially since the last 3 seasons of The Bachelor were airing in early July. So starting filming like a month or 2 from now would normally be what was happening. And I actually think there's a few reasons why, but I want to go into it step by step. According to Jesse Palmer, The Bachelorette really isn't canceled. It's just going on a hiatus, which means the show's just taking a break for an unprecedented amount of time. Unfortunately, some hiatuses do result in full-blown termination cancellations of content that was planned to be released, but we aren't so sure about that just yet. Jesse Palmer said in an interview, "The good news is I know it's not going away. I know it's definitely coming back." When he went to the Playing Field podcast in February, which Cosmopolitan reported on. He also said, without being able to get too much of the creative decisions on it, I know that when it does return, I think it's going to be absolutely tremendous. I mean, it's a good thing he's positive about the show coming back because the fans aren't. When Zoe had popped up at the end of the finale and in the hot seat, a lot of people had expected that she was going to be revealed as a Bachelorette, but she wasn't. I know I did a short on this recently, but now that I have full context about what happened, there's a lot of people who want Lolita to become the Bachelorette because of the issues surrounding her relationship with Grant. However, I do want to touch upon something I'm not hearing people talk about as much. The Bachelorette seasons themselves have been a bit controversial, although the reason why kind of originates from the downside to Michelle's season. And even then, looking back on it, given that Matt James is kind of the true cause of this, well, more so his season than his character, I'm going to have to try to break this down for people who haven't watched The Bachelor. So I'm going to try to explain the timeline because it's a little bit of a lot. Because I had suspected the Bachelors are coming with more controversy. But by the end of the season, it feels like there's more controversies ruining the Bachelorette than it is the Bachelor, even if it is the original source material's fault. Because Matt James' season had the controversy of all the drama escalating with Victoria bullying people to the point where some people just couldn't watch the show anymore because she was getting away with so much stuff, with rumors that Matt was being egged on to keep her by production. Especially since you had other members of the cast spreading rumors at that another person was an escort, targeting people who wanted to leave because of them having issues with their father's dying condition. Then you had Matt falling in love with his final one pick, who also turned out to be going to slave parties representing the antebellum South when they were younger, leading to an entire special where they had broken up temporarily. And because of the backlash to that, we ended up getting Katie as a Bachelorette for being the one who stood up to the drama and being a fan favorite, as well as Michelle because she was the one who avoided the drama and just had her focus on her relationship with Matt, and it really felt like there was a strong connection there, but Matt just wasn't that interested compared to Rachel. And after Katie's season was divisive, Michelle's season came out, and despite it actually focusing on romance over the drama, for some reason, it caused bad ratings, despite the fact that people were complaining the franchise had got way too much drama going on. So they casted someone more traditional, like Clayton, to be the next Bachelor, and that didn't go so well. And look, I don't hate Clayton, and I know he's not a bad person. He made a lot of mistakes at the end of the day, which included Gabby and Rachel becoming the next Bachelor because of their friendship, throughout both of them getting mistreated by him, not using his words properly and leading them on. And then we get to the key problem here. Out of the last 3 Bachelorette seasons, only one of them has been received well, and even then, it definitely wasn't Gabby and Rachel's season. The producers weren't sure how it was going to work and just set everything up to Gabby and Rachel, but that just led to the guys trying to take command by saying that they were only there for one of them. So both of them had to put their foot down and tell the guys to pick a lane. Then, to make matters worse, their final choices ended up also being controversial and pissed everyone off. Even though Nate had controversy because of his questionable relationship he had in the past where he didn't tell someone about his kid, and Logan was divisive, even with someone people had said should have become the Bachelor because he was genuinely there for Rachel and was one of the few Asian contestants who got that close to hometowns. A lot of people really liked Spencer. Zach ended up getting chosen as the Bachelor, and even ended up becoming more popular than Rachel's final pick, because those picks, oh boy, they were controversial. Yeah, a lot of people thought Rachel had fallen in love with Tino because of the whole bad boy aesthetic. And then no one was surprised when it turned out he wasn't able to commit to her and then cheated on her. Then people found out Eric also did blackface and had said some controversial stuff in his past with pictures that were floating around. And Michelle had pointed that if they did not address it on live TV, she was going to leave the franchise altogether. And given how much backlash there has been to racial controversy within the Bachelor franchise, can we honestly blame her? Because I honestly can't blame her. So with 2 bad seasons back to back to back, Bachelor Nation really needed a win, and Zach had promised he'd actually be a bachelor as there for romance and not for drama. And Zach said he did try his best, despite the fact that his main issue wasn't that he was really not that great at confronting drama or not handling some situations as well as he could have, like what happened at Fantasy Suites and Greer. But he did his best to try and end the toxicity, even learning the hard way that he couldn't stop someone from interrupting. Go watch my last Bachelor video to find out the reason why. And we ended up with a season devoid of drama, especially since Charity ended up in 4th place by becoming the next Bachelorette. And Charity's season was pretty solid. It was a good romance, not a lot of drama. They avoided a lot of controversy. And then we ended up with Joey's season, which did have drama, but there wasn't a massive amount of controversy. It was just people being dramatic and insecure, but the actual problem came in that Maria and Daisy didn't want to be the Bachelorette, so production chose Jen. And some people felt like Jen didn't have enough focus or screen time to warrant the decision. Personally, I think if you look back, you can find some really solid moments of Jen. There is a likable presence to be had. And finally, having the first Asian background Bachelorette was cool. The main problem was that they casted way too early, resulting in men who wasn't there for her and had expected to be there for either Daisy or Maria. And while some people did adjust to that on the cast, clearly having a cast with only just black and white dudes with only like one Asian person pissed off a lot of people who felt like casting didn't do a good enough job to find actual people who were there for her. To the point people were agreed that at least the villain of the season, when he admitted it, was at least being honest, because the final pick in Devin ended up treating it like a game, because after they got engaged, he denied ever being in love with her, ended the engagement in a 15-minute phone call, and just did her dirty. And she confirmed into everyone that he was trying to reach into people's DMs for the contestants that people wanted to actually be on the show for, like Maria. And people got so fed up with production because at this point, they didn't do a background check on Devin, and apparently you aren't supposed to have any restraining orders, which he allegedly did because, according to his ex-girlfriend, he had a restraining order placed on him in 2017 because he had put her in a chokehold. Allegedly. So, with 2 out of 3 seasons being bad, a lot of people have tried to figure out what's been going on. Jen actually said a theory about why the show is going on a break, and she has suggested that the summer airing schedule may not be as effective for The Bachelorette as it is for The Bachelor, and having this break could give the next Bachelorette a chance to air at a time with more visibility. So I'm guessing they're either trying to find a new time slot and part of the year that would suit ratings better, or one where they feel like people will be tuning in to watch more. However, the real reason may be more insidious than one might assume. No, I have heard about these rumors before, but these actually explain a lot. After the original producer Mike Fless left, various past and present crew members have alleged that the show had become a toxic and hostile workplace culture led by showrunners and executive producers Claire Freeland and Bennett Graeber, of using verbal and mental abuse, mind games, lack of communication, and fear in order to run the franchise. I don't know how this extends too much to the original Bachelor seasons, but for The Bachelorette, I can clearly see it. Now, personally, I like to get more evidence than that, but I do feel like when it comes to The Bachelorette lately, and while this has been a problem for most of the series, lately it's really been showing its true colors. They haven't just been doing a good job with just taking care of the contestants or their lead. Like Sherrick Clay, and you could argue it was just his mistakes, but at least there wasn't some sort of racist controversy or casting issues. Like, doesn't anyone find it weird that out of 2 out of the 3 seasons of The Bachelorette have had issues where production made some of the worst decisions when it came to casting men for their leads and doing a piss poor job at background checks? Jen's season alone had the winner being emotionally manipulative and gaslighting her, while also not being very kind in his relationships in the past. The runner-up was also accused of having emotional abuse allegations targeted towards them. The only Asian contestant was clearly recruited. The villain was so toxic that he actually had to break the meta and accuse the show of giving him a bad edit, when you could argue was actually honest compared to some of the others. And most of the members of the cast that people liked were the only ones that were generally interested in her. And then you have Gabby and Rachel's season, where they clearly added someone who was comfortable with doing blackface in the past without any repercussions, and her final choice being one of the worst decisions since Hannah Brown regretted everything after choosing Jed. Like, seriously, when your post-production show ends up with them confirming that they cheated, and that causes more drama to the point where where one of the runners-up gets more love and fanfare than the actual final pick, you know you did something wrong. What can and what should the Bachelorette do while they're on hiatus? A few things. Cast people who are actually there for the lead and wait until the lead gets cast in order to start doing rounds. Get showrunners and members of the production crew who actually care about cultivating romance. Alter some of the rules around so that contestants are actually being protected. Get people who can actually, vet and make sure the contestants being placed on the show doesn't have any allegations of domestic abuse, violence, going to racist parties, restraining orders, or being extremely toxic in past relationships. Because it's crazy how podcasters, people from my own high school, and random casual people can dig up dirt on these people, when one of the highest watched reality TV shows can't even do that to protect the people they brought on to give them ratings. Because for a franchise dedicated to helping people find romance, it sure seems like people can care more about treating human lives as a puppet for ratings instead.